Hello everybody, my name is Hassan Dumbuya. Today I'm going to talk about planning, how planning is done, and show how to receive a task or responsibility in part of a plan, and show how to assign a plan or a task or responsibility as part of a plan, and show how to write a plan. That when you have a plan, what is a plan? A plan could be a written of an account or intended course of action or aim at achieving a specific goal within a specific time or framework. I'm going further to explain in details what needed to be done and when and how and by whom it should be done. First of all, you as a supervisor, a team leader, or a leaders or manager, a manager is a key link in the planning chain. They receive tasks or responsibility from their management, top management, which is called the strategic management or the tactical management, like the HR or the general manager, as part of their plans from those that above them. Most plans on the tasks or responsibility as part of the plan to those below them for the standard operation of this company to undergo this process to achieve their goals and motives. As a leader or a supervisor or a manager, you must know how to interpret a plan or a project and identify the tasks. Then 2, you must create a plan or a task for others. Then I'm going to talk about a planning circle, right? What is a planning circle? I'm going to explain 5 W's and 1 how. The first W say what's the task, that is the responsibility and the aim and the goal, or to make profits. Then why is it being done that? Because the reason is for profits, the motives, right? Then who stand for, who will perform the task and the responsibility. Then where is the task going to take place, or the project or the location. Then when this task will be taking place, the time of implementation of this project or plan. Then how this task or plan is being done or receive this plan. You as a leader, if you are going to manage your staffs, or you are a supervisor, you are going to manage your teams. How are you going to manage your team? I'm going to explain 6 points, right? The first point, you have to communicate the goal and the plan and the reason clearly to your team. 2, knowing what's the motive your team, explain to them and you know what you should do. Then the 3, you have to coach your team to be self-confident and independent to carry out their duty. Then number 4 say give good feedback and appreciate your team. When you appreciate them, they will feel happy to do more better. Then 5, do not avoid difficult situation. Fix the problem. Do not cry that this is not my job, or I will not help you, or you do that to punish someone. You have to help your team in every difficult situation. Then knowing how to deal with difficult personality or type in your team, right? There are some people in your team or in your management, they are different from others. So you have to know how to handle them, so at least your job will be able to go in a progressive way. Then if you are to receive a task from your top management or from your leaders, you as a supervisor or a team or a manager, if you are going to receive a task, what are you going to do about this project? The first step, you have to know what this project is all about. That is one. Then two, why is it being done? The reason why this project is going on or this plan. Then number three, who will perform the tasks? It is not you who will perform the task. Sometimes you have to dedicate it to your subordinate. Then number four, where the task or the project is going to be done, right? The location. Then five, say when this task or project will be take place, that this location. Then number six, say how this task or this project is being done, right? Then I'm going to talk about planning circle, right? And planning circle, I'm going to talk about 6 steps of planning circle. The first one is define the problems or the plan or the responsibility of this project. You have to define it, explain to your team the problems, how are they going to solve this problem. Then number 2, you have to understand and the measures of this problem. How big is the problem? How big is the project? How big is your plan? Right? Then number 3, you have to analyze the risks of this problem and the responsibility. Sometimes you look at the problem, you look at the risks, then before that risks occur, you have to find a situation, because sometimes if you are undergoing a project, anything can happen, like environmental disaster and economical crisis. Anything can happen, so you have to put a CRM, that is crisis risk management team, right? Then number 4.c, development solution, that is how to manage and solve this problem or this project. Then point number 5 is how you can implement these solutions, Then point number 6 is how you can evaluate the problem, right? Then I'm going to talk about writing a plan or a project. If you want to write a project, what you should have in mind, that you should know the assignment or the plan that you want to do yourself. You should analyze it. I'm going to talk about 4 points. The first point says you have to know the assignment or the task or the project that you want to undergo. Then number 2, you do not assign work above your employee. You should make sure that your employee, they have the ability and capability to carry that duty, right? That's why you have the HR or you have the other management for them to assess the capability of a staff. Then number 3, you have to explain the purpose of this assignment or the project or your plan. You have to explain to them for everybody to understand. So most time you conduct a weekly, annual training, a weekly training or annual training, or a monthly training. Then briefing, you have to give them briefing. Briefing, you have to, like a seminar or orientations, you have to explain and direct them what they should do, right? So this is, you have to put it in a written plan. That is your plan. Then I'm going to talk about giving an assignment or task to someone to do, or a project. When you are giving project to someone, I'm going to talk about 6 steps, right? The first step, number 1, you have to prepare the task or the responsibility or the description about the jobs or the responsibility. Like for like any ministries, they have their own agenda, they have their own description, they have their work frame, right? Then point number 2, you have to select someone for that task, right? You have to know that this person belongs to this particular part, you have this ability and this capability. That is point number 2. Then point number 3, you have to explain and the importance of this task and project. You have to explain to them. Then point number 4, you have to explain how to do this job, right? Like bring in an expert and show them how they can do this job. how they can do this job, right? Then point number 5, you have to provide communication and support for them, so everybody will understand how to communicate to each other. If there is lack of communication, then there will be a lot of crisis. So if there is a good communication among everybody, then it will be a good buying in project. Then point number 6, you have to provide supervision for them, right? Not that you have to give them a privacy, but you have to have a feedback on how people are undergoing their projects. Because, for example, we see some projects fail because there are lack of supervisions, right? Supervision, like sometimes government roads and like businesses, you are not monitoring business, you find out that it's going to fail because 1, 2, 3, 4 months, 1 year without monitoring. At least you have to have a specific and consistent time to monitor this business. Then point number 7, you have to provide feedback, right? Like a box of feedback that people appreciate your work. You have to create a social media or a freedom of speech or certain thing that people will give feedback. With that feedback, you can able to make amend, or you'll be able to know that your company or your business or your team is in a progressive way, right? Then I'm going to talk about the guiding principle, right? Guiding principle of planning. First of all, I'm going to talk about 4 parts. You have number one, you have to demonstrate, if possible. You have to show them, or you call expert, that this is our plan and this is what we want to do in our organization, in our company. You have to demonstrate to them. Then point number 2, do not assume that employee understand perfect. You have to do a weekly or a monthly orientation. You have to show them. Then after, they keep on doing it by themselves so that they can gain the confidence. Then point number 3, do not watch everybody move. Let everybody feel responsible or at ease. Let them have their own privacy. Then point number 4, let the employee know that you are available to give them assistance. Sometimes employees, they are afraid that if the job carry out wrongly, their job will be at stake. So you have to tell them that let them come, any assistance, you'll be willing to help them. With that motive and motivation, they can able to face you and solve the situation. Then the most important thing about planning is it means that it has to be smart plan. What do we mean by a smart plan? When you are making a plan, you should make sure that your plan or your project, it should be specific, it should be measurable, it should be attainable, and it should be relevant, which is important. It should be time bound. Time bound means that you're supposed to put it in a specific frame of time. Like projects, they have some certain governmental projects. You put the project in place, then you have to make a specific target, and you measure that this is the amount of money, then the attainable, that the possibility, then the importance of this project to the development of people, then the time bound. So to conceptualize all, this is all about planning. In every situation in life, in every area, you have to make planning. Planning in governmental activities, which is projects. Then you have business place, wherein you have to make your plan, your goals, which is the description of the jobs that everybody have to undergo. So I stop here, and then my next topic, subscribe to my YouTube channel.